Yes, it is acceptable to use a generator to provide life safety power in an existing building. The code addresses the specific situation. National Electrical Code Article 700.12 requires that life safety feeders be installed into IO fire-rated assemblies from the source of power to the life safety service entrance. Massachusetts State Building Code Section 310.720 requires that life safety feeders be installed into IO fire-rated assemblies from the generator to the life safety service entrance. The disconnect for life safety power is addressed by National Electrical Code Article 700.12, which requires that life safety feeders be provided with an appropriately rated disconnecting means located at the point of entrance into the building. Massachusetts State Building Code Section 310.728 allows the life safety disconnecting means to be located in the generator room, provided it is enclosed in a 2-IO fire-rated assembly. If the life safety disconnecting means is located outside the generator room and not enclosed in a 2-IO fire-rated assembly, it must be encased in concrete. You cannot convert to mineral insulated cable at the service entrance. The feeder must be installed in a 2-IO fire-rated assembly throughout its entire length. For recommendations, consider these points. Firstly, install a 2-IO fire-rated enclosure around the life safety disconnecting means in the generator room. Secondly, use rigid conduit or other 2-IO fire-rated raceway for the life safety feeder throughout its entire length. And thirdly, if the life safety disconnecting means must be located outside the generator room, encase it in concrete. There are additional considerations to remember. The generator must be sized and equipped to provide the necessary power for the life safety systems and equipment. The life safety feeder must be properly protected by overcurrent devices. The life safety system must be tested and maintained in accordance with applicable codes and standards. For more detailed information about life safety systems and generator installations, consult the National Electrical Code and the Massachusetts State Building Code, particularly Article 700.12 of the National Electrical Code and Section 310.720 of the Massachusetts State Building Code. These codes outline the specific requirements for fire ratings, disconnect locations, and acceptable wiring methods to ensure the reliability and safety of life safety systems. When designing and installing life safety systems powered by generators, it is essential to consider the entire system holistically. This includes the generator's capacity, the transfer switch mechanisms, the routing of feeders, and the placement of disconnects. Each component plays a critical role in ensuring the system's effectiveness during emergencies. Firstly, let's discuss the generator. Ensure the generator is adequately sized to handle all connected life safety loads, including emergency lighting, fire pumps, and other critical equipment. Conduct a load calculation to determine the total power demand of the life safety system. Secondly, the transfer switch is responsible for automatically switching from the normal power source to the generator when a power outage occurs. It must be listed for life safety applications and capable of reliably transferring the load. Perform regular testing of the transfer switch to verify its proper operation. Thirdly, the feeder cables that supply power from the generator to the life safety equipment must be protected against fire. The National Electrical Code and Massachusetts State Building Code mandate a 2-IO fire rating for these feeders. This can be achieved through various methods, including encasing the cables in concrete, using fire-rated cable assemblies, or installing them in a fire-rated shaft or enclosure. Fourthly, the location of the disconnecting means is a critical aspect of life safety system design. The disconnect allows for the safe isolation of the life safety system for maintenance or repair. It must be readily accessible and located in accordance with code requirements. If the disconnect is located outside the generator room and not within a 2-IO fire-rated enclosure, it must be encased in concrete to provide fire protection. When installing life safety systems, consider the potential impact of the installation on other building systems. Coordinate with other trades to ensure that the life safety system does not interfere with the operation of fire suppression systems, HVAC systems, or other critical infrastructure. For example, ensure that the life safety feeders do not obstruct access to fire sprinkler heads or interfere with the operation of smoke detectors. Regular inspections and maintenance are crucial for ensuring the continued reliability of life safety systems. Develop a comprehensive maintenance plan that includes periodic testing of the generator, transfer switch, batteries, and other components. Keep detailed records of all inspections, tests, and maintenance activities. Consider the use of a fire-rated junction box if a splice needs to be made. Ensure that the junction box maintains the 2-hour fire rating required for the life safety feeder. The selection of appropriate wiring methods is critical for ensuring the fire resistance of life safety feeders. While mineral insulated cable is inherently fire resistant, it may not be the most practical solution for all applications. Rigid conduit encased in concrete provides excellent fire protection and is a common choice for life safety feeders. Fire-rated cable assemblies offer a flexible alternative that can be easier to install in some situations. Before beginning any work on a life safety system, obtain all necessary permits and approvals from the local building authority. Ensure that the design and installation comply with all applicable codes and standards. Schedule inspections at various stages of the project to verify compliance. If the life safety system includes batteries for emergency power, ensure that the batteries are properly sized and maintained. Perform regular battery testing to verify their capacity and state of charge. Replace batteries as needed to ensure reliable operation. The 2-hour fire rating requirement for life safety feeders is intended to provide sufficient time for building occupants to evacuate in the event of a fire. The fire rating ensures that the feeders will continue to supply power to critical life safety equipment, such as emergency lighting and fire pumps, even during a fire. When designing a life safety system, consider the potential for water damage from fire suppression systems or other sources. Select components that are resistant to water damage and install them in locations where they are protected from water exposure. If the life safety system includes a fire pump, ensure that the pump is properly sized and installed in accordance with National Fire Protection Association 20 standard for the installation of stationary fire pumps for fire protection. The fire pump must be capable of providing the required water flow and pressure to the fire suppression system. Consider the use of a remote annunciation panel to provide real-time status information about the life safety system. The annunciation panel can display alarms, system status, and other critical information to building personnel. This information can be valuable for responding to emergencies and troubleshooting system problems. If the life safety system is connected to a building automation system, ensure that the integration is properly designed and implemented. The building automation system can monitor the life safety system and provide alerts to building personnel in the event of an alarm or system failure. It is important to select a qualified and experienced contractor to design and install a life safety system. The contractor should have a thorough understanding of the National Electrical Code, Massachusetts State Building Code, and other applicable codes and standards. They should also have experience with life safety system design and installation. It is important to carefully document the life safety system design and installation. This documentation should include detailed drawings, specifications, and test results. The documentation should be kept in a safe place and made available to building personnel and emergency responders. When performing maintenance or repairs on a life safety system, always follow proper safety procedures. To energize the system before working on any electrical components, use appropriate personal protective equipment such as gloves and safety glasses. If you are not qualified to perform the work, contact a qualified electrician. Consider the use of surge protection devices to protect the life safety system from voltage surges. Voltage surges can damage sensitive electronic equipment and cause system failures. Surge protection devices can help to prevent damage from surges. It is important to regularly review and update the life safety system design to ensure that it meets the changing needs of the building. As the building's occupancy or use changes, the life safety system may need to be modified to accommodate the new requirements. When making changes to a life safety system, it is important to follow all applicable codes and standards. Obtain all necessary permits and approvals before beginning any work. Ensure that the changes are properly documented and tested. Consider the use of uninterruptible power supply, or UPS, to provide backup power to critical life safety equipment, such as emergency lighting and fire alarm systems. A UPS can provide power for a limited time during a power outage, allowing building occupants to safely evacuate. It is important to select a UPS that is properly sized for the load and has sufficient battery capacity. When selecting a generator for life safety applications, consider the generator's fuel source. Generators can be powered by gasoline, diesel, natural gas, or propane. Each fuel source has its own advantages and disadvantages. Diesel generators are generally more reliable and fuel efficient than gasoline generators, but they require more maintenance. Natural gas generators are a good choice for buildings that have a natural gas supply, but they may not be available during a power outage. Propane generators are a good choice for buildings that do not have a natural gas supply, but they require a propane tank. The location of the generator is an important consideration. The generator should be located in a well-ventilated area to prevent overheating. It should also be protected from the weather. If the generator is located indoors, it must be installed in a fire-rated enclosure. The exhaust from the generator must be vented to the outside. The generator should be located away from any flammable materials. Regular testing of the life safety system is essential for ensuring that it will function properly in the event of an emergency. Testing should include a full load test of the generator, a transfer test of the transfer switch, and a functional test of all life safety equipment. The testing should be performed by a qualified technician. Consider the use of a wireless fire alarm system for buildings where it is difficult or impossible to run wiring. Wireless fire alarm systems use radio waves to communicate between the fire alarm control panel and the fire detectors. Wireless fire alarm systems are easy to install and maintain, but they may not be as reliable as wired systems. If you are considering using a wireless fire alarm system, consult with a qualified fire alarm contractor. The use of addressable fire alarm systems can provide more detailed information about the location of a fire. Addressable fire alarm systems use sensors that can report their specific location to the fire alarm control panel. This information can help firefighters to quickly locate and extinguish the fire. Addressable fire alarm systems are more expensive than conventional fire alarm systems, but they can provide significant benefits. When designing a life safety system for a high-rise building, it is important to consider the unique challenges of high-rise buildings. High-rise buildings have a large number of occupants and a complex layout. The life safety system must be designed to provide adequate protection for all occupants. The life safety system must also be able to function reliably in the event of a fire. The use of a smoke control system can help to prevent the spread of smoke in a high-rise building. Smoke control systems use fans to exhaust smoke from the building. Smoke control systems can improve the safety of building occupants and help firefighters to extinguish the fire. Emergency voice and alarm communication systems, or EVACs, can be used to provide instructions to building occupants during an emergency. The EVACs can be used to tell occupants where to evacuate, how to evacuate, and what to do during the emergency. EVACs can improve the safety of building occupants and help to prevent panic. Ensure that the life safety system is properly integrated with the building's fire suppression system. The fire suppression system should be designed to automatically suppress the fire in the event of a fire. The life safety system should be designed to alert building occupants to the fire and to provide instructions on how to evacuate. Consider the use of a mass notification system to provide emergency information to building occupants. Mass notification systems can be used to send text messages, emails, and voice messages to building occupants. Mass notification systems can improve the safety of building occupants and help to prevent panic. Regularly review and update the building's emergency evacuation plan. The emergency evacuation plan should be reviewed and updated at least once a year. The emergency evacuation plan should be posted in conspicuous locations throughout the building. Building occupants should be trained on the emergency evacuation plan. Conduct regular fire drills to practice the emergency evacuation plan. Fire drills can help building occupants to become familiar with the emergency evacuation plan and to learn how to evacuate the building safely. The fire drill should be conducted at least once a year. The use of a fire watch can provide temporary fire protection during periods when the fire protection system is out of service. A fire watch consists of trained personnel who patrol the building looking for fires. Fire watch personnel should be equipped with fire extinguishers and two-way radios. The use of a fire watch can help to prevent a fire from spreading out of control. Ensure that all fire protection equipment is properly maintained. Fire protection equipment should be inspected and tested regularly. Fire extinguishers should be inspected monthly and tested annually. Fire sprinklers should be inspected quarterly and tested every 5 years. Fire alarm systems should be inspected and tested annually. The use of a fire safety manager can help to ensure that the building is properly protected from fire. The fire safety manager is responsible for developing and implementing fire safety policies and procedures. The fire safety manager is also responsible for training building occupants on fire safety. The fire safety manager should be a qualified and experienced fire protection professional. Consider the use of a fire risk assessment to identify potential fire hazards in the building. A fire risk assessment is a systematic process for identifying and evaluating fire hazards. The fire risk assessment should be conducted by a qualified fire protection professional. The fire risk assessment should be used to develop a fire safety plan. The use of a fire safety plan can help to reduce the risk of fire in the building. A fire safety plan is a written document that outlines the steps that will be taken to prevent fires and to protect building occupants in the event of a fire. The fire safety plan should be reviewed and updated regularly. Consider the use of a fire safety consultant to provide expert advice on fire safety issues. A fire safety consultant can provide advice on a wide range of fire safety issues, including fire risk assessment, fire safety planning, and fire protection system design. The fire safety consultant should be a qualified and experienced fire protection professional. Regularly inspect and maintain all electrical equipment. Electrical equipment should be inspected regularly for signs of damage or wear. Damaged or worn electrical equipment should be repaired or replaced immediately. Overloaded electrical circuits can cause fires. Avoid overloading electrical circuits by using the correct size wire and circuit breakers. Do not use extension cords as a permanent wiring solution. Extension cords are only intended for temporary use. Do not run extension cords under rugs or carpets. Keep flammable materials away from electrical equipment. Flammable materials can easily ignite if they come into contact with electrical equipment. Ensure that all electrical outlets are properly grounded. Grounded electrical outlets can help to prevent electrical shocks. Install ground fault circuit interrupters or GFCIs in wet locations. GFCIs can help to prevent electrical shocks in wet locations.